Just start, say your name and spell it for us as well.
Okay.
You're good.
Oh, we're good? All right. Hello, my name is Lieutenant Andrew Horos, H-O-R-O-S. I'm with the Metropolitan Police Department Harbor Patrol Division. I'm the harbor master here in the DC waters. We're here today to talk about river safety and the dangers of swimming and fishing in the river, especially around the area of Fletcher's Cove, north up to the Chain Bridge in that area. First of all, it's illegal to swim in DC waters, so don't swim in DC waters. They're extremely deceiving, especially in this area up north towards the Chain Bridge. The water goes from about 3 to 4 feet deep, and then it drops down into anywhere from 30 to 60 feet. On the surface, it may look calm. However, the undercurrent is extremely powerful and will pull even experienced swimmers downriver. Second, cast netting is illegal, and we get a lot of accidents that happen up in near the Chain Bridge. Individuals will cast net and end up falling into the river. Again, it's very unforgiving, the waterways in DC. So don't swim in the river. It's extremely dangerous. If you are around the river, if you're on the rocks fishing, we'd recommend wearing a PFD in case you accidentally fall into the river. And that way, by the time help arrives, you can safely stay above the surface of the water. I'm going to pass it on to DC FEMS Chief McCoy.
Good morning. My name is Danny McCoy. I'm the Special Operations Deputy and Homeland Security Deputy, MCCOY. Today we brought out a couple of our fire boats that are on display to the rear, and we brought our land-based units. We have a large number of maritime resources that respond to all types of emergencies. We have a great partnership with MPD Harbor. Most of our operations we're joined together, we operate together. You don't normally see us until after there's an emergency. MPD is out here enforcing regulations, and when you call for us, most of the time it's for something that's happened. Somebody's fallen in, or somebody has, a kayaker's overturned or something. We have the ability to respond inland and off the shore here. We have boats that are in the water. We have swift water technicians. We have emergency boat operators. We have the ability to address just about any waterway emergency that occurs within the boundaries of the District of Columbia. From a safety standpoint, one of the things that we see regularly is when storms approach, recreational kayakers or people that are on the waterway don't heed the warning signs of large storms coming in, and then they get caught in the storm. So oftentimes we're called out during the summer months to address those type of emergencies. Other than that, we're here to help.
I'm Captain Joe Bell. We're from Montgomery County Fire Rescue. I lead the swiftwater rescue team up there. And DC Fire invited us today to help spread that this is a regional issue here. As the Potomac River travels through Montgomery County, Maryland to DC, there's multiple jurisdictions and agencies that are involved in response and keeping people safe. Our message is the same, is that there's no swimming in the river. Our jurisdiction starts just upstream of here, and really primarily the river changes into Class 5 whitewater. So we have lots of recreational kayakers and other whitewater users, and a lot of people along the shoreline. It is very rocky and treacherous, and the same as down here. The river can be very deceiving, can look very peaceful like it does right here behind us now, but it is very dangerous with lots of undercurrents and tows and holes and rocks. And as we respond to calls up there, we have challenges with access and getting to people that can create long responses at some points if you do need emergency help from us. And that's part of the reason why we have a lot of agencies that will come if you have an emergency.
Sir, can you spell your name for us?
Sure. Joe, Joe, Bell.
Terrific, thanks.
I'll pass it on.
My name's Chief Corinne Picardi, Corine, Picardi, Piccardi. I'm the volunteer fire chief of Cabin John Park Volunteer Fire Department. We are one component of Montgomery County Fire Rescue, and we are responsible. We house the swiftwater rescue team for Montgomery County. Our response area includes sections of the Potomac River that are very hazardous, and that Captain Bell was just talking about. We want you to come out and enjoy the nature and the beauty of this area, but we want you to come prepared, because not only are we responding on the water, but we're also responding on the pathways and the trails around the river. And for people who are dehydrated, who get sick because they're not prepared for the hike. So we want you to come prepared, not only for the hikes, but also don't approach the side of the river, because especially in our area, the rocks are very slippery, and the river will not give you a second chance if you go in. So we encourage you to come out, experience the beauty of the Potomac River, but do it from the shore. Thank you.
Some of the things that something I didn't bring up before is Lieutenant Orr talked about weather emergency, but some of the things that for the fire department that are really important. You brought up safety for people that attend recreationally. If there's an emergency on the waterway or on the shore, it's really important to give us a clear description of where you are. If you can identify some type of landmark or something that we maybe reference from the ground or from the land, that's important. And if heaven forbid there is an incident where somebody goes in the water, it's very important that you identify the last position that they were seen, and you maintain that. So if you're the person that sees somebody go into the water or there's an emergency, it's important that you mark that spot and stay there so that when 911 gets there, they can identify where that person was last seen.
All right. A couple other points that I forgot to mention was two things. When there's heavy rains, usually it takes a couple days before the water catches, the runoff catches, comes down to the river, and that's when you're really going to be on the lookout for flash floods and high tides. So if you come down with your family, with your children, just make sure that you keep an eye on them. Preferably if they're near the shoreline, they have a PFD on as well, personal flotation device, in case we were to go in the water. And then just to piggyback on what the chief said, if you are the person and God forbid someone goes under the water, you got to stay there and you got to just kind of watch that area and pick out a landmark so that when our public safety divers, when MPD and FEMS arrive on the scene, we know we have an area of where to dive. This water is zero visibility, meaning that FEMS and MPD, we can't see under the water. We can't even see our hand in front of our face. So we got to have a good starting point, an anchor point, and then we can work on there to search and rescue recoveries.
Some questions? Yeah. Does anybody have any statistics on average number or how many drownings there were last year in the Potomac River Gorge? How many we've had this year? How many rescues you guys respond to?
So we get calls for service regularly, unfortunately for recoveries. It's hard to tell in what jurisdiction or where the individual may have gone into the water, just because depending on the time of year, the season, recovery efforts may be way later, and the recovery might change from the location where that individual went in. But we get a lot of calls, especially after storms, for recovery or rescue efforts for kayakers and canoers that get stranded out, especially during flash flood times, and then when the storm hits, a lot of times up in this area, anywhere from Three Sisters all the way up to Chain Bridge. So basically, once you go past Georgetown, it gets very deep very quick. So the shoreline might be 3 to 4 feet, but once it drops off, like I was saying, that channel gets anywhere from 30 to 60 feet. Near Spout Run, it's up to 90 feet deep.
And what's changed in our area is that with the development of the wharf and the surrounding areas, the population on the water, specifically recreational activities on the water, from Memorial Day to Labor Day has increased. So in general, I would say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're going out a couple times a day, checking for somebody that has some type of emergency. But we don't only respond to those life-threatening emergencies. We also respond to service calls for boats taking on water, boats that may break down, investigation, anything in the water, any hazardous materials that there may be reported. And both of us, we respond together and operate seamlessly. So,
can you tell us about the boat off Roosevelt Island yesterday?
Yesterday, you want to give me that? I mean, I can.
Yes, sir. We responded in the late afternoon to, it was approximately 50-foot vessel that, for unknown reasons, started taking on water. Luckily, another boater, another captain in the community pushed that boat to the shallow area, because originally when that boat started taking on water, that captain was in the middle of the channel, which is pretty deep right there, and another boater observed it, advised him he was taking on water, and pushed him into the shallow areas near Roosevelt Island, and we were able to respond with FEMS and get the 2 passengers off of that vessel safely. and the boat is being towed out right now.
So on that, ironically, we came out here to do this press conference, and a passerby on GW Parkway called in a boat sinking, and it happened to be that boat. So we've responded to that incident twice now.
With some of the waterway being
going back to the statistics, 2020 there were 7 drownings in this general area, and Montgomery County Fire Rescue Swiftwater team was dispatched for 31 incidents of people in the water. That did not count any hikers in distress or other emergencies surrounding the immediate river area. So we had 31 people in the water in distress during our peak season, which is mid-May through to mid-September.
That was last year.
That was last year, 2020.
Any numbers on how many rescues or how many drownings so far this year?
Montgomery County Fire Rescue's had 1 drowning in our area so far this year in the river. I can't talk about flat water or inland. And our response numbers, I don't have an accurate number for you.
Thank you.
I'd love to give you that too. It's so busy on the weekend. You get multiple calls for rescues, and a lot of times it's just really check the welfare. Somebody saw something from one of the bridges. They see a kayak or an empty kayak, and they call 911 and say somebody's. Or they see a swimmer that shouldn't be swimming, and they call that in because swimming's not allowed. So
DC has had 1 drowning so far this season.
we have
right?
had 1 this season.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify, drowning means the person died, not just that they, because
Yes, it's
people can
fatality. Drowning.
Yep.
Okay.
Fatality
general,
considered to be the cause would be considered drowning.
So in the river, 1 from Montgomery County, 1 from DC this year so far.
Yes.
Everybody talks about drowning. What about the cleanliness of the water? Like, what if you take on some of this water? It's like a lot of sewage runoff. There's a lot. Can anybody talk about that?
So I could say this in years past. There's always the concern about contamination and the river and its cleanliness. I can say that this year and last year we went up in a rating that the river is cleaning up and it's progressing. But that said, you still can't swim in the river.
You guys mentioned protective, floating devices, bringing water if you're hiking. What are other things that people need to do if they're out boating, if they're coming out here to keep themselves safe so that they don't have to call you guys?
Carry a phone because of the GPS capabilities.
Yeah, communications, like a charged cell phone, is really important. Some type of, if your phone is capable, which most phones are now, something to monitor the weather. We can't stress that enough. That if you're not aware of your surroundings and a sudden storm comes up, we had that one last year, that a large number of people on a boat overturned and multiple people in the water. 3 fatalities out of that?
Yes. Yeah, we had 3 individuals who went in the water, and they were recovered shortly after.
Due to, I believe, storm activity was the cause. So that, and really just make good decisions. I mean, if it looks like rocks, it's shallow, whatever, stay away. Don't get in the water. Don't fish from the rocks. If you're planning a day hike, and you should probably have water, all the things instead to take care of your health. But it's stay away from the water, except for the edges, and wear PFDs, and prepare for being stuck out on. If your boat breaks down or something, you want provisions just like you would if you were camping. You're not going to leave. You want water, food, communications equipment, things like that.
We want to thank our federal partners too for hosting us. This is National Park Service land. How does the federal government, National Park Service, support in the water activity?
So we work with, we actually have teamed up recently with U.S. Park Police and DC DOE in reference to try to not enforce but educate the community that fishes in this area up to the Chain Bridge, and just some of the regulations and when it comes to DC waters and fishing. So we've teamed up with U.S. Park Police, and we're going to try to educate on land and on water just about the dangers, about the regulations, the different requirements that you need to fish certain fish during certain seasons, and just kind of educate the community that's out here.
From the fire and rescue standpoint, from the fire and EMS standpoint, we have, if you go into the water from Chain Bridge south to the Wilson Bridge, you in our region, you have the best chance to survive. We have a great partnership with U.S. Coast Guard, MPD Harbor. We work well with Alexandria, Arlington. All those agencies come out if there's an issue in the water or a call for service in the water. We have a standing mutual aid agreement that allows for immediate mutual aid response, and we all operate seamlessly. We operate on a dedicated channel and are able to communicate. But specifically when it comes to federal partners, I guess our biggest partner that brings the most resources if there is a true emergency on the water is the U.S. Coast Guard. We deal with them regularly. They bring their small boats in, and if need be, and there was a big incident, they are there and already worked into our command system.
How about the drone DC Fire has? Have you guys had a chance to use that?
So Emily, we do have a drone. It was a grant item. The drone named Emily.
I wanted a drone named
and I'm not going to lie to you and give you what EMILY stands for right now. But if you look, you better figure it out. So it was a donation to the fireboat. They drill on it regularly. It has a lot of uses. We're challenged in its usage because it's specifically designed for lifeguards on beaches, like rapids, waves from large ocean waves. But it does give us the ability to send tow ropes to other people, to other boats. It gives you the ability to send a tow rope out to rescue. You could send PFDs. If somebody was stuck on the rocks over there and they dropped in the water, they could send a PFD out to them.
Have you guys used it yet? Or?
On a true rescue, I'm not aware of a true rescue, but I know they have used it for other incidents, service calls, miscellaneous things. It really helps prevent us from putting ourselves in harm's way. It's kind of like every technical rescue response. You want to avoid actually using your skills to make the rescue. You want to do something that you can prevent yourself from being in a situation where you can be harmed. And the waterway, that's really difficult because you're in the water and there's already an emergency. Something happened, so you're right in the mix.
Can I ask you about the instinct someone might have, particularly a parent, if they see their kid or somebody go in the water, to go in after them?
So we have an act.
I was just going to say, if a child were to go in with a PFD, best case scenario, the child is wearing a PFD and the adult is wearing a PFD. And best thing that we could tell was if there was not some sort of throwable device and they were within within reach to throw some sort of device that they could hold on to and they could pull the child in. The instinct to go in and get your child, if you're with a PFD and the child's with a PFD, then it's going to be tough not to go in after your child. I will tell you that statistics do show that if you're not wearing a PFD and someone goes in without a PFD and they start drowning, and you go in after that individual, you do not have a great success of survival at that point, or a great percentage of success.
For both people?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So we even operate that way. We use a principle of reach, throw, go. So if you have something on the shore, a branch, a stick, anything you can reach out to the person to grab a hold of, that's our first method, that safest way. And then throw, we use throw bags, ropes, or something to throw out to the person. And then our last option, which oftentimes is our default, is go. You go in and get them because we have the proper equipment, proper PPE, we have the PFDs, and we have the equipment on the water to make the rescue.
And these are also trained rescue swimmers. So it's going to be, they've trained swiftwater between FEMS and DC Harbor. They've trained swiftwater rescue. Yeah. So they're used to swimming in this water and then or rescuing people in this water and north where it gets a lot more swift.
We actually have a class coming up in July that I think Doug was going to reach out to the group, and I'll get with you, Crystal, whatever, give you the dates, but we have a swiftwater class coming up, and we do a lot of the training just north of here. It's called a pillbox, and it's a fast-moving water, and we can get our members in the water and experience real swiftwater activities and simulated rescues.
Do we have an opportunity for some Spanish sound?
Yes.
We ask you to step up.
Just one other thing, I wanted to touch back with the federal partners. When we had Sunday before last, unfortunately, the individual going into the water, we had between DC FEMS, Harbor, U.S. Coast Guard, I think Maryland State had a helicopter up there, Alexandria, Park. We had multiple agencies working together. We had 3 different helicopters. Coast Guard had their boats and their helicopter up as well, and that was a joint effort. And unfortunately, we recovered the individual about 36 hours after.
And before Mr. Tirado comes up, Emily stands for Emergency Integrated Life-Saving Lanyard. Vito has some B-roll that we could send if you wish.
I shot it.
Oh yeah, you did. You were down the boat.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, where is it? It's on the boat?
No. We'll send you B-roll.
Oh, okay.
So are you going to do a web story?
Yeah.
Go ahead. So if you could just your name and spell it for us.
Mi nombre es José A. González Tirado. Jose González, Gonzalez, tirado Tirado.
And what can you tell us? What's the message you want to get out to the community about river safety?
El mensaje que queremos llevarle a la comunidad en cuanto a seguridad en el río es, primero, es que en DC no se puede nadar en el agua, es prohibido nadar en el agua. Queremos que la gente venga, comparta, disfrute las instalaciones, el agua, pero desde la orilla, no entren al agua. En caso de que haya una emergencia, de que alguien entre al agua y se esté ahogando, queremos, por favor, la persona que está observando a esa persona que está ahogándose, que marque el lugar donde la persona se hundió, que se quede ahí, que llame a la policía, que llame al 911 para nosotros poder venir a ayudarlo a tratar de rescatar.
I'm good.
That was a brief of what you said.
They're good. Are we good?
Everybody good?